Again, something that can't happen again.
No, never.
You know, the magic of, that's what I was sort of getting at, the magic.
The trouble with Molly was that he was just very inept at his job, and because he was a journalist before he was given the job, he'd never done it before in his life. I mean, honestly, the interview with Prince Charles, give me a break.
But that's what sort of made him a huge success.
Yeah, you got to know him. But as a band in those days, doing all originals and never getting on Countdown, had a bit of a chip on our shoulder about that.
Of course.
I think a lot of bands probably did at the time.
Of course.
Well, the Cockroaches, for instance, went on to be the Wiggles.
Yep.
Didn't they?
Yeah.
Major money-making little venture.
Nuts to think that there only one music show. I was saying the other day, we're in a cover band. I'm in a cover band now, so we're learning Love Shack, right?
Of course.
And it made me think, wow, I remember on a Sunday afternoon, it must have been 1990, perhaps, or 89 or whatever, I don't know, that I remember Molly going, and this was in the last days of Countdown, perhaps, I don't know, but, we've got this new song, and it was The Love Shack, which went on to be that song forever, and the next one was, Are You Gonna Go, Ma? Like two massive, he just released two songs, and everyone went, wow, they are huge, and they're still huge to this day, but it meant everyone was watching this show for the last two songs of I think the last one was often the Countdown number one. Countdown. How did that go? How did the
and Gavin Wood, of course. Welcome back to Countdown. We've got some fantastic things happening here tonight. But Molly was very, in all his faults and everything, he really did develop Aussie music. Without him and without that show, and that's what's lacking, I guess, these days, is we don't have an outlet. You've got the Loop and you've got all Rage and everything, but there's no.
Well, there's too
real,
many.
Yeah, and not enough venues to sort of sustain it.
Yeah, but it's like I couldn't tell you what's a popular song, 100% popular song right now. Because the radio might be playing a certain amount of songs, which is a good, no doubt they're listening. So, but for all we know, the kids are already listening to something over here that it will be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So as a cover band, we're going, yeah, Daft Punk is great. We start playing Daft Punk for 1 month, and then all of a sudden people go, we hate that song.
Right.
Because it doesn't hold any magic.
No, and a lot of radio stations, well, at least as far as I knew in the day, they're supported by such a massive marketing program that they can't say no to it. I mean, it's coming from one of the major record distributors. You know what I mean? It's very hard. Triple J and Double J in the day, they've always been fantastic with independent local artists. Just fantastic.
Yeah. So, but you weren't from Melbourne. So
no, Sydney, yeah.
Sydney, yeah. So Molly that was a Melbourne show.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's always seemed like I remember being on a show in that time down there, and it seemed like everyone was playing in Melbourne, so you could often like a big star was always in town, so they could always make these shows, and
yeah, absolutely.
So what part of Sydney were you from?
Well, I lived in Northern Beaches. I was born in Greenwich, so that's sort of North Sydney-ish.
Yeah.
Difference between North Shore girls and a bowl of spaghetti. Bowl of spaghetti moves when you eat it. It's just
nice touch.
No,
I had a girlfriend from Greenwich.
Oh, did you really?
She was a mover.
Yeah, well, Renee Gayer. I went to school
Wasn't
with
her?
Renee Gayer in Greenwich.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was her big hit again?
Oh, Stairs and Whispers.
Stairs and Whispers on my best friend. Oh, that was Careless Whispers.
No, Renee Gayer had heaps of hits.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but
just totally.
I'm thinking maybe the big one I remember was a cover, perhaps. Renee Gayer.
Yeah, she did a lot of covers.
Massive name. I think she
sounded black
when
we first heard her.
Yeah, she was often on Bert during the 80s and 90s, I think.
Yeah.
What's Bert doing now?
Oh, Bert kind of gone under his son. What an idiot. I mean, to have that opportunity to host the X Factor, and then you get all this. Yeah,
Recently?
No, it was back before he did all that, all that crazy stuff. But I mean, Matthew was ready to. I actually was auditioning for X Factor when Matthew was there and about to be the new commentator, just before all of that happened with his girlfriend and stuff. But apparently, he's got an anger problem.
Yeah,
which I've never known about.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen him act. I think he's a brilliant actor.
Yeah,
Matthew Newton, fantastic.
I tell you what, and my mum backs me up on this one. Is that when that happened, there was an interview with what's his name? Who are we talking about right now? Matthew's dad.
Bert.
Bert.
Yeah.
Bert and Paddy.
Yeah.
There was an interview. It might have been a 60 Minutes interview, and it was kind of like, they were just explaining, we don't know what Matthew's doing, and I then realised that, wow, I don't think Matthew knew Bert a lot. It was kind of like this distance there in the conversation, and I remember
Bert was a star. I mean, as far as when he was in the Graham Kennedy show, I mean, Graham was as gay as they come, and no one can tell me that Bert didn't swing both ways. I mean, they used to party like there's no tomorrow. You can imagine having a successful Tonight Show and Graham being gay and everything. They would have done things that even Paddy doesn't know about.
Wow. So were they Sydney?
No, Melbourne.
Melbourne again?
Everything really Melbourne, yeah.
I've got this theory about the temperature or the clothes, because I lived in Sydney and I would dress a certain way, rock and roll, layered clothes,
scarves, coats,
just like you'd become just like when you go to a fancy dress party, you become that guy.
Yeah,
and you can get away with it for longer with the temperature. Once I moved to the Gold Coast, I remember going, I just can't rock these layers anymore. And then years go by now. It's like, oh God, do I have to wear pants today? Wear board shorts all the time. But it removes the whole cool, So you've got Melbourne where it's always layered clothing and rock and roll, and you've got that look and scarves and all that sort of gear, and that's where you look great on TV tomorrow.
Exactly.
You walk out and you're ready for TV. We always laugh. Not laugh, but when you see a band on the Gold Coast here, you're like, oh, dude, just wish we all could get together and say, okay, come on, let's just make a bit more of an effort, guys. We are in a tourist city. We have to remember this.
And there's a lot of major things happening here on the Gold Coast. For instance, at the moment, there's the film festival going on at the Arts Centre. I mean, it is a place where lots of things... And the Loft too in Chevron Island, they had a noise problem, so now they just do acoustic music. It's a pity because I know a lot of musos, and the trouble when I do a gig and I invite all my friends, nearly every one of them's a muso. Can't make it, mate. Got a gig.
Yeah.
So...
My big issue with that, every time we get told to turn down in the band, I never say it to them because that's just some person working in the bar, But I always look, I was like, geez, there's not any carpet on the floor here. There's no sort of sound deadening technique at all. Like, they, as a venue, haven't thought of sound. Just a pot plant, a little petition here, 1 foot wide, and what it does to a room. A few deadening corners and...
Yeah, look, I know exactly what you're saying because I was playing in a trio for ages. We were doing all the RSLs, all the clubs, the big clubs up at Bundaberg. But you've got to be prepared to travel and have a really good PA and production and lights, which is more than just getting up on stage and playing because you've got to set it all up all the time, which is fine. That's like lifestyle. But one night we were at the Redcliffe RSL or whatever, and we were feeling bad because there was literally two people in the audience, and we said to the manager, dude, look, it's a really slow night. And he said, no, it's not, mate. There's 500 people in the pokey room, and we've got a restaurant over the back there that's doing amazing business. So don't feel bad. You're just a tax write-off. And I thought, that's so typical.
We've just paid you to look like we've done something.
Well, a lot of people like the big Coles, Woolworths that have bought pubs, they put live music not because to attract anyone, so they've got no idea of who they're hiring, but they do it because that's on their little agenda and they've got to have a bit of entertainment, so they just do that. How much is it going to cost us? Oh, let's get that Elvis, that bloke that impersonates Elvis Presley in here, mate.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking. I've been... I was in Japan recently and I saw this surf. They're big on... Because they're the Northern Hemisphere and their culture subliminally is close to the Hawaiian culture. Like if you go to Okinawa, they play Hawaiian-styled music
nice.
Almost natively. So in you see it on the Gold Coast here. If you go to some of these festivals, you'll see there's a group of Japanese ladies who are right into doing beautiful Hawaiian dancing. You know, could you think of anything more beautiful than the Hawaiian style?
Yep, nice.
And it made me, and so I went to this local market, and here are these guys doing surf rock, like American surf rock, or just that surf, and it was all instrumental stuff.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, isn't it crazy how we live on the coast and none of us are doing that, or actually just harnessing that, what the tourists come here for. I don't want to even be negative. I don't want to ever be negative.
No, it's not about being negative. It's just
the idea that we're just a bunch of white guys playing the Angels. Must be so ridiculous to a tourist.
It's a bit silly when you think about that. The Blues Fest is in Byron. We're right in the middle of it all, and Woodford's up the coast. So we're kind of... I just think that there's not enough, people taking a little bit... There's a lot of people now moving from Melbourne and Sydney to the coast because of the prices down there, etc. And I've noticed a big trend lately on Facebook that people are coming here and going, okay, so where's the Gold Coast music scene? And I put on one thing, welcome to my nightmare, and you know how well I go down on Facebook sometimes with things I say. But anyway...
I'm with you,
But they're getting together and they're starting to get stuff together. You've got Broadbeach doing all of those music type, but it's getting in there. That's the thing. Yeah. They like to sort of bring international artists a lot, which I think is great. But they should sort of do the local market and then hire the internationals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they just don't. Sometimes now I just look and I don't think they know what's good. You know, that's even wrong to say. Actually, I've got a real theory about this. And you've done enough work in the mountains with both Future Native and
Cloud9.
Cloud9, the Twine, yeah. Well, Cloud9. There's something about it's a big volcano. Mount Warning's the centre of that huge volcano in northern New South Wales, and in the centre of that volcano, which is historically an important place for the Aboriginal people, right?
Yeah.
Nimbin, Byron Bay, Mullumbimby. You think of all the people and the way they dress and act and these free, easygoing... There's no huge industries there, really.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and which is, 30 minutes away is the edge of that volcano from where I am in Currumbin right now, we are completely different on this side. And then up at Woodford, you've got a whole series of mountains where the Coolum... the Aboriginal people thought that was a very important place too. But we're kind of in this sort of this funny area where the hippies are just over there.
Yeah.
And they're not going away. That's the thing.
I love the way Clive Palmer's taking all of that culture into consideration and having those plastic dinosaurs. That's so Australian, mate.
Yeah, so Australian. But don't you know what I'm saying? The idea of the hippie over there in isn't going away. When I was younger, I thought, oh, geez, this is a bit of a phase. But, there are different people just 30 minutes away from this whole area. And I don't know whether it's...
the Gold Coast is viewed by them as being a very commercial kind of, not the type of place that you'd come and do too many gigs. But there's a lot of little corners of the coast. And many times, for instance, with Cloud9, we'd hire a hall out the back of Currumbin or somewhere like that, invite families, have someone doing food, which is inexpensive, have 3 or 4 bands on and put that together like that, and that the kids are welcome, it's alcohol-free, and play out the back. I mean, the wonderful atmospheres, but you've got to get the people there, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get the people and you've got 4 bands and no one kind of turns up, it's a bit embarrassing.
That's horrible. Isn't it horrible being in a hall and no one's there?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, the sound is horrible. It's just you can hear the snare going, kung, kung.
Cross-eyed every time.
My band a long time ago. We went to Goulburn. We did to get, and the whole idea was this band was to go to Goulburn, do this one show in the Goulburn Hall, really old school place, and it's just, we were there for 4 days. It was big. We did all this lead up to it. We were unknowns, but that wasn't the point. We actually went on the radio and all this sort of stuff. Our big gig happened, and we're behind a curtain, one of those mechanical curtains that comes up like this. And we're all psyched up. We're only 19 years old. We're really young. This is huge for us, And from Logan in Brisbane, right? So, boom, I know what we'll do. Press up on the magical curtain
as you're playing.
As the the intro comes up, boom. It stopped at our knee height. It broke. It burnt the motor out. We still kept playing. We did the whole gig. Just like, only see our legs. And we had a good crowd. We were selling tickets all week. Actually, the crowd showed up.
Dear,
and you couldn't stand in front of this huge